What's going on, guys? Back with another video. So Pierre posted this clip from his podcast, and it says, if you look under the hood, today's inflation numbers are bad news. The direct result of Carney's massive overspending that we must get under control. So we're going to get into this video. Now, before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. I appreciate every one of you who does that for me. So let's have a look and then we'll talk about it.
June inflation data is out. There's the top line and the bottom line. The top line is that CPI inflation was 1.9%, which is roughly the Bank of Canada's target. However, that number is artificially suppressed by the elimination of the carbon tax that the Conservative Party forced the Liberals to do. By eliminating the carbon tax, fuel prices drop, which brings down the average price increase across the full basket of measured goods. That is a good thing. Thank God that while everyone was telling us that the carbon tax was a done deal, you and I fought on to get rid of it. However, that is only a one-time savings. Once the next fiscal year comes along, those savings will no longer be baked into the inflation number. The CPI trim and the CPI median are two measures that strip out volatile things like fuel and others that are affected by the carbon tax cancellation. And they show that inflation is up to 3% and 3.1% respectively. Worse than that, I'm quoting from Bloomberg here, the 3-month moving annualized average of the core rate surged to 3.39%. from previously 3.01. 3.39 is well above both the Bank of Canada's target and its acceptable range. And this 3-month average is really important because instead of comparing year over year, which tends to overweight things that were happening a year ago, it actually looks at what's been happening in the recent 3 months, roughly 100 days. And we see that in that time frame, prices have been accelerating at an accelerating rate. Now, it will be obvious that some will say this has nothing to do with the Liberal government, it's just because of the trade war. Well, let me just quote from the Bank of Canada that said, and I quote, the tariffs that Canada imposes on U.S. goods are estimated to affect roughly 9% of Canada's CPI or consumer price basket. So that means that 91% of the goods are unaffected. And I will note that Mark Carney has been pulling back tariffs, putting his elbows down, and therefore the tariffs have less impact going.
That's right. And thanks to David from Moose on the Loose, we know why he's backing off on the tariffs. Because he's got a lot of investment money going to the United States, since he loves investing in American companies. But he's looking out for you, Canada. He's putting his elbows up and he's going to stick it to Trump, as he literally invests in the country that Donald Trump is in charge of, instead of his own country. Isn't that weird?
Forward. So what is driving the rising inflation, and why is it that everything is so expensive for you and your family? The answer is the government is getting more and more expensive. Despite Mark Carney's talk, his sudden talk of spending less while investing more, the reality is he's spending a hell of a lot more than Trudeau. His first spending bill jacked up the cost of government by 8%, with bureaucracy going up 6%, consultants up 37%, and I pass over many other massive increases in operating expenses that leave no lasting asset but do drive up inflation in the short run. Economists, including the parliamentary budget officer, are saying now that the deficit could be bigger this year than it was under Justin Trudeau. That's right. This is incredible to think that anyone could outspend Trudeau, but Mark Carney appears to be accomplishing just that. And some of the Liberal economists are also suggesting that Carney's policies may ultimately lead to an increase in the sales tax because there's just no other way to pay for it all. We've got to reverse the inflationary spending. We know that because when you run big deficits, as Carney is doing, you create more cash. That cash bids up the fixed supply of goods and services and gives you the inflation that I'm talking about now. Further to that, because inflation is hotter than expected, it's going to be hard for the Bank of Canada to cut interest rates, which we need to do before the mass of mortgages that were locked in at ultra low rates and high prices during COVID come up for renewal. So if you've got a mortgage that you locked down in 2021 or 2022 on $1 million home, you were maybe paying 2%. Well, you could be renewed at a more than double that rate and get smashed in your monthly payments. The only way to avoid that is to bring rates down, and that can't happen until inflation comes down. It's going up and it's worse now than it was when Mr. Carney became Prime Minister. So much for the central banker who knew all about monetary policy.
Yeah, so much for this guy's going to fix everything. He knows what he's doing. He has not stood up to Trump. Inflation has not come down. $92 billion spending, same cabinet members, no budget. Elbows up or down or up your ass? Where are they? It's not going well. Not at all.
What do we need to do? Well, the same thing that I've been saying all along. We need to cut bureaucracy, consultants, corporate welfare, foreign aid, and countless other wasted money so that we can bring down the cost of government, the deficits, inflation, and ultimately interest rates. We need a dollar for dollar law that requires government find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending, and we need this kind of spending discipline to happen as soon as possible so that we can fix the problem that liberals caused and reinstate the purchasing power of your money. So we, as conservatives, will be fighting for that, fighting for fiscal discipline, low inflation, sound money, because you work hard for your dollars. We want them to go further.
Absolutely. And, you know, he always makes so much sense, right? And you can see here over to the right, trending, Battle River Crowfoot, Bonnie Critchley, that independent who's running in Battle River Crowfoot, and you can see that they're already starting to really try to switch people's opinions because they know Pierre makes sense. They're scared of him because they're scared of common sense because that's what dumb liberals do. They're scared of everything, right? Trump, COVID. You could tell them that you know Putin can fly and they'll believe it. They'll believe anything they're told if it scares them. And that's why they're trending. And I'll show you that in a second. But back to this video for just a minute here. This is why the conservatives like Pierre Polievre, because he speaks clearly. He knows what he's talking about. He knows Mark Carney is going to be worse than Justin Trudeau. He warned us about that. He knew 2 years ago that Mark Carney was going to be the next leader. He called it out in Parliament. Not because he wanted Mark Carney in there, it's because he knew it. He saw the plan. He knew Justin Trudeau was failing. And his support was dying at a rapid pace, and that's exactly what happened. He was right about that, he was right about this, and he's right about Carney. So let's go over here, as Battle River Crowfoot is trending. I'm going to show you some of these idiots here. Elect Bonnie Critchley a real Albertan, as if Pierre Polievre isn't, not who the Conservative Party tells you to vote for. So let me guess. This boomer, and again, I know not all of you boomers are liberal, but you see the blue sky? That's a very left-wing platform. So it's very likely that this dude's a liberal. So don't vote who the Conservative Party tells you to vote for, but vote for who the liberals tell you to vote for. Wow. And again, I don't really know much about Bonnie Critchley, but obviously she's got a bone to pick with Pierre. She's probably a liberal shill who's running as an independent, but probably not really an independent. But look at all these people telling you to vote for Bonnie Critchley. Now, again, tagging Laura Babcock, who's one of the dumbest, most liberal people on the internet. It's people like that, like Laura Babcock, who don't want you to vote for Pierre. Of course they don't. They're liberal. So they're going to tell you to vote for an independent over their own liberal candidate because they know their own liberal candidate sucks. Again, look at all this. They're just trying to flood the internet telling people what to do, even though they just said, hey guys, don't do what the conservatives want. And my God. It's as dumb as a bag of doorknobs. The riding is not a done deal for Pierre Polievre, but yet she can't even get volunteers. It's unbelievable. Win this riding for you. No, that helps the liberals. I'm pretty sure people in Alberta aren't as stupid as maybe, say, people in the East here. Not all of us. I'm in the East. There are some of us who voted Conservative, mostly in the rural areas, and even in big cities, just not enough of us. We're surrounded by idiots here. This would work here. This would work in a lot of Southern Ontario ridings, especially in big cities. But it ain't going to work in Battle River Crowfoot because people are actually smart there. And look at this AI. Just a bunch of woke white women. Never Polyev. The never Polyev thing was a liberal term. So again, it's another liberal telling you what to do. They don't want you to listen to conservatives, but they have no problem telling you what to do. They want you to listen to them. If you're a conservative, why would you listen to what a liberal wants you to do? Do the opposite of what they want. I mean, it's just insane. Let's listen to this, actually. The first of 5 clips from the PNP interview with independent Bonnie Critchley running against PP in Battle River Crowfoot by-election.
My slogan, which isn't a slogan, it's simply the truth.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. My slogan that isn't a slogan. Good start.
My slogan, which isn't a slogan, it's simply the truth. This is our home. This is our riding. We just had an election, and we spent all that money, and we elected the candidate of our choice, who promptly turned around and said, no, I don't want that mandate I asked you for, and we're spending another $2 million.
$2 million? They got a problem with $2 million, but not $92 billion. That the Liberals are going to spend this year. Oh, I see. It's a good problem when conservatives spend a fraction of what the Liberals spend. I see. I gotcha.
Vote in the angry guy from Ottawa. Who doesn't know jack about this area. He may have been born in Calgary, but he's from Ottawa. He hasn't been here. He hasn't lived here. And even if he had stayed in Calgary...
Well, yeah, if you're the leader of the opposition, you go live in Ottawa. That's been the case for every party. Now, you just said he doesn't know jack about the area. You don't know jack about politics, apparently, lady.
This is a very different area than the urban centers he's used to.
Yeah, it's also the most conservative riding in the country, or one of them. I mean, my God. And again, people, he shouldn't be allowed to be an MP. Yeah, because you're scared of him, and you should be, because he's coming, and he's going to be back. Before you know it, September 15th. The election is August 18th, and I'll be covering that live if you want to join me. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you thought about Pierre's video, but also let me know what you think about Bonnie Critchley, and should I do a deeper dive on who she really is? I have a feeling she's some sort of a liberal reject. I might be wrong, but let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section. And again, please don't be shy. I enjoy engaging with you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back shortly.